Good afternoon, everyone. We're back on the record after our lunch recess. We're in the presence of the jury. Mr. Bahena and the attorneys of record are present. State of Iowa may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Jill Scheck.
Good afternoon. I'll swear you in. Can I get you to raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, and be seated right over there, if you would, please. State may proceed when it's ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your name, please?
Jillena Scheck.
And how do you spell it?
Jillenescheck.
Move that a little closer to you.
Okay.
And what is your maiden name?
Meyer.
When were you married?
June 16th, 2018.
Are you employed?
Yes.
And where do you work?
Grinnell High School.
What do you do at the high school?
I'm a special education teacher.
And how long have you held that position?
8 years.
Have you had any other employment other than the job that you have now in the last 8 years?
Yes, I ran the hospital's day camp for 10 years. Well, I worked there. I was the supervisor the last 5.
And what were your duties at the daycare?
We took care of children. We planned activities. We did field trips. My specific duties as a supervisor, I play on the schedule for everyone. We made snacks and activities and all that kind of stuff with the kids.
Approximately how many children did you have at that daycare?
On any given day, we had roughly 60 kids. On field trip days, we had almost 80.
And were you the supervisor at the daycare in July of 2018?
Yes.
And on any given day, how many other people did you have working there with you?
There were 10 employed through the hospital, and then we had 4 or 5 that were through the college AmeriCorps group.
Did you know Mollie Tibbetts?
Yes.
How did you know Mollie?
I knew her through work, and I also knew her through her family. Her aunt, or her uncle, married my best friend's mom, so I knew her through family as well.
And how long would you say that you had known Mollie Tibbetts?
I probably first was introduced to her when her Uncle Eric and Aunt Billy got married, so maybe 8-9 years ago.
Did Mollie work at the daycare where you worked?
Yes.
Did you hire her?
Yes, I wasn't part of the interview process because I was teaching, but my boss, Chad Nath, did.
Could that name be repeated for the interpreter?
Chad Nath.
Chad Nath.
And did Mollie work at the daycare the summer of 2018?
Yes.
In July of 2018?
Yes.
And what was Mollie's position at the daycare?
She was considered a day camp intern. We are considered interns because we're seasonal, and she did all the similar things I do. Took care of children, took care of the skin knees, helped set up snack, do activities with the kids, go on field trips, just supervise the children being children.
And was the intern position a paid position?
Yes.
And had Mollie worked at the daycare prior to 2018?
Yes, I believe she worked the summer before as well, so 2018 was her second year.
And do you know how old Mollie was when she worked at the daycare?
19.
She'd been in college?
Yes.
And that's when she started? She was
Yes.
19?
I believe so, yeah.
Did you directly supervise Mollie?
Yes.
And were you responsible for the scheduling at the daycare?
Yes, I was.
And how did those schedules generally work? What were the hours?
So because we were affiliated with the hospital, we were technically open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. because doctors' hours and nurses' hours. But we rotated through shifts. So we had like an opener, and then like an hour later, we had the next person come in and kind of scattered through. And then the closer would kind of float because we could only work a strict 40 hours a week. And obviously, nurses can work like 12-hour days. So we were most of the time closed by 5:30.
Ms. Scheck, what was the process at the daycare if one of the employees couldn't make it into work? How would that notification process work?
Typically, they would message myself or Chad. Typically me, because I was the one that was there daily. And then if they knew ahead of time, they would let me know. We'd put it on the calendar. We'd often switch shifts, or I'd like leave and come back for the day. Like I said, we had to kind of be really flexible with only having to work 40 hours only. The hospital didn't really want us to go for overtime.
And how would you describe Mollie Tibbetts' attendance at her job?
She was there all the time unless she like knew she had commitments. That summer she missed the first week because of her dad's wedding, so we just filled in and kind of spread ourselves out a little bit more, and she was always on time. It was very unlike her.
Was Mollie scheduled to work on July 19th, 2018?
Yes, she was the closing person.
Did Mollie show up for work on that day?
No, she did not.
Did she notify you that she wouldn't be in?
No, she did not.
Was there an event planned at the daycare that day?
Yes, we had a field trip. We were going to the county fair.
And did you make any attempts to contact Mollie?
Yes, I messaged her, like a text message, and I believe I called her.
And did you think that was out of the ordinary for Mollie not to show up that day?
Yes.
Did you think it was out of the ordinary for Mollie not to notify you that she wouldn't be in?
Yes, it was very odd.
How many attempts did you make to reach Mollie?
I would say at least 2 or 3 times.
And was that by text message?
A text, and I believe I called too.
Did you make any effort to contact a third party to ask about Mollie's whereabouts?
Not until after we were back from our field trip when I realized she hadn't messaged me back.
What time did you return from the field trip?
We got back about 3, and then I kind of finished up what I had to do there. And before I left, I sent a message to her cousin,
And who was her cousin?
Kelsey Sheets.
Do you recall approximately when you would have made that first attempt to reach Mollie?
It was probably about 8:30 because on field trip days we need to report, and everyone needs to be there by 8:30, even the closer.
Did you ever get a response to any of your calls or texts?
Nope.
Did you ever see or hear from Mollie after July 19th?
Nope.
When was the last time that you saw or spoke to Mollie?
Probably about 4-ish on Wednesday night before I left from the day camp, and she was closing. So.
That would have been July 18th?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead for the record, say that out loud, though.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scheck. I have no further questions for you at this time.
Okay.
Defense may cross-examine.
We have no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. You're excused.
Thank you.
Okay, state may call its next witness.
Today's next witness is Christina Steward.
swear you in. If you can raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Make your way over there, please.
See, watch your step. Speak up. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
State may proceed when you're ready. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Can you please state your name for the jury?
Christina Steward.
And Ms. Stewart, how are you employed?
I am self-employed. I own a hair salon downtown Brooklyn,
Okay, what's the name of your business?
Sheer Expressions.
And it's located exactly where?
Down on the one-way, the main business district of town.
In Brooklyn?
Yep.
Okay. And how long have you owned that business?
It'll be 15 years this summer.
And is it full-time work?
Yes,
Do you cut
for the
hair?
most part. Yeah.
Is that your job?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have other stylists that work for you?
I've had a couple girls in and out over the years, but right now I'm the only one there. I just had my last one retire.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
3 kids,
All right. How long have you been married?
9 years.
All right. And can you tell the jury where you grew up?
I grew up right outside of town on the 385th Avenue. I graduated from BGM in 2004. Right now I live in town, just a block up from my salon, a couple blocks up from my salon.
Okay. And did you go to college after high school?
Yeah,
Okay. Where did you
at
attend
Capri
college?
and Cedar Rapids.
Say that again.
Capri College in Cedar Rapids.
Okay. Was that to get your certification to cut hair?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Ms. Stewart, did you know Mollie Tibbetts?
Yes, I knew her and her family.
Okay. Can you describe what kind of relationship you had with Mollie Tibbetts?
Her and her brothers and her mom would occasionally come into the salon.
Okay. And so she was a client of yours?
Yeah, there was several times where I cut her hair and her brother's hair.
Okay. And how long had you known Mollie Tibbetts?
I remember when they moved to town. They came from California, so to move from California to Iowa is,
Okay. So
a little strange.
No, that's okay. So thinking back, how young would Mollie have been when you first met her?
Oh, I would guess maybe around 10, 12.
She was still a young girl.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had known Mollie for quite some time?
Yeah.
And did you ever see Mollie or interact with Mollie outside the hair salon?
No, just at work.
If you would see her on the street, would you recognize her?
Yes.
Would you be acquainted enough that you would say hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or smile.
Maybe
Yeah.
talk about what was going on
Yeah. How are
with your
you?
life? Okay. All right, Ms. Stewart, I want to direct your attention back to July 18th of 2018. You happen to remember that day, is that correct?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Yep. And where were you living with your family on July 18th of 2018?
403 Jackson Street in Brooklyn.
Okay. And where were your parents living?
385th Avenue.
Is that
Brooklyn.
the farm that you grew up on,
Yes.
that you just mentioned earlier?
Yep.
And what type of vehicle did you drive?
I have a 2015 white Dodge Grand Caravan.
Okay. Now, on July 18th of 2018, did you have plans to go to your parents' house at the residence near Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was the purpose of that visit?
We had sweet corn for supper, so we always just took the scraps out to feed the horses. I have 3 kids and I'm really close to my mom, so we're out there, especially in the summertime, a couple times a week.
Okay. And whenever you went out to your parents on July 18th of 2018, did your children go with you?
Yes.
All right. How about your husband? Was he there?
No.
Okay. So whenever you would have driven from your home to your parents' home, describe, if you recall, the route that you used to get there.
So when I live on the main road that takes you through town, so I just go straight down the main road, and I take a right, and that road, minus a couple, there's a curve that just takes you straight up to Blacktop.
So is the main road through town, what street is that?
Jackson Street is the street that I live on. That takes
Okay.
you
Did you go up to West Des Moines?
East Des Moines Street. Yep, sorry.
I'm sorry. Hey, don't get ahead of me. Hang on a second. So what street would you have taken out of town towards your parents, at least to begin with?
I went on I pulled out of my driveway onto Jackson Street, and then I took a right onto East Des Moines Street.
Okay. And East Des Moines goes east through east and west through Brooklyn?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you would have eventually then ended up on 385th?
Yes.
And that's the road your parents lived on?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember about what time of night or evening that you went to your parents on 385th?
It was about 7:45.
Okay. Did you happen to be looking at a watch as you were driving through town?
No, not exactly, but I wanted to get out there before, it got too dark.
Okay. So you left your house at about a little before 7:45. Would that be accurate?
Right around there, yeah.
And
I
how
think
long
so.
does it take you to get out to your parents' house?
For like 4 minutes.
What was the weather like on the evening of July 18th of 2018?
It was nice day, clear weather.
All right. And as you drive out on 385th, what direction do you go towards your parents?
East.
And was the corn up in the fields?
Yes.
Okay. And as you go out on 385th, we'll look at a map here in just a minute, but as you go out on 385th, is there any curves or turns in that road?
There is a couple, yes.
Okay. Can you describe those for the jury, please?
So right before East Des Moines hits 385th, there's a curve that takes you out onto Blacktop, and right before my parents' house, there is an S curve.
Okay.
Right before there.
And after the S curve is your parents' residence where you enter?
Yeah.
Is it, what side of the road is it on?
The left side, the north.
Okay. Now, on July 18th of 2018, at shortly after 7:45 p.m., were you driving east on 385th towards your parents?
Yes.
And as you were driving east on 385th, did you notice any person on the side of the road?
Yes.
Can you please describe for the jury who you or what you saw?
A younger woman.
Okay. And did you recognize that person?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And who is that?
Mollie Tibbetts.
Okay. What was she doing?
She was running eastbound
On 385th?
on 385th.
And how was Molly dressed?
She was wearing black spandex shorts with a bright pink sports bra. And she also had the armband that held her phone that most joggers wear as they run.
And did you notice anything about her hair?
I noticed her hair. It was, like a low ponytail. As a hairstylist, that's usually the first thing that I'm drawn to when I see somebody, and I noticed that that was exactly how her hair is.
Okay. And did you recognize her as Mollie Tibbetts?
Yes.
How is it that you could recognize her from driving past her on 385th from the back? How is it that you could do that?
Just from seeing her around town, knowing who she is.
Okay.
She's not a stranger.
All right. And had you seen Mollie Tibbetts out jogging prior to July 18th of 2018? Had you ever seen her before jogging?
No, I mean, not on that road, no.
Okay. So whenever you passed, did you pass her?
Yes.
All right. Where was she running, on the blacktop or on the side of the road? Do you know where she was at?
There's no like gravel shoulder, so it's just blacktop, and she was going up a hill, and as I was going to pass her, she was on the hill, so I was very cautious. I was watching for her, and I was, afraid a car might pop over the hill, so I was cautious for myself too and the vehicle.
Okay. And where exactly did you see her in relation to the S curve on 385th?
It would have been right before the S curve.
Okay. And did you notice anything else unusual with Mollie Tibbetts?
No,
Was she running?
just running.
All right. And did you see any other vehicles or any other persons around Mollie Tibbetts?
No,
Did you wave or honk at her in any way?
no,
Just to make sure we close this circle, was there anything unusual about Mollie or her surroundings that you noticed at all?
no. She just looked like she was going for a nice, peaceful run.
Now, once you passed Mollie Tibbetts, where did you go?
I went to my parents.
And how long were you there?
I would say between 30 and 45 minutes.
And after being at it was a supper visit, is that correct?
We went out after we had ate, so we fed the horses. They have a patio out back, so usually we'll just, catch up. So yeah, my mom and I sat out back and just talked a little bit before, I had to get home and get the kids to bed.
So you left about 30 to 45 minutes later?
Yeah, I would say.
All right. And whenever you left your residence, how did you go back? Or I'm sorry, whenever you left your parents' residence, how did you go back to your home in Brooklyn?
The same way that I went out there on East Des Moines and then south on Jackson.
And whenever you returned to your home, was it still light outside?
Yes, barely, probably, I would say.
Did you notice anything unusual when you left your parents?
No, I didn't see her running, and I mean, usually when you see somebody running out there, you expect to see them on the way back to town, and I can confirm that I did not see her running back on my way back to town.
All right. So when you went back home, no Mollie Tibbetts, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to show you some a diagram. Okay. Can you see that on your screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I know there's some other markings on this screen, but on this map is 385th Avenue. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that the road that you're familiar with that you just described?
Yes.
All right. And this is Boundary, which is a street in Brooklyn. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
As you go up Boundary, you can take a right onto 385th.
Yeah, that would be the first first little curve.
Okay. And then you go around the curve,
Yep, another curve.
and this is headed out towards your parents. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. We have marked on the map, we've met with you before trial, correct?
Correct.
And you helped us pinpoint where it was that you believe that you saw Mollie Tibbetts. Is that right?
That's right.
Is that marked here on the map accurately?
It is accurate.
So where my laser pointer is, who did you see at that location?
Mollie Tibbetts.
And what is this area of the county blacktop here?
That is the S curve.
Okay. All right, just to be clear, and using this map, which direction would Mollie Tibbetts have been running whenever you saw her on July 18th of 2018?
Eastbound.
So she would have been running towards the curve.
Correct.
All right. I'm going to show you what's also been introduced as State's Exhibit number 6. This is a little bit further east of that location, is that right?
That's right.
Does it accurately show the location where you observed Mollie Tibbetts running on July 18th of 2018?
Yes.
And my laser pointer is on a property here. What is that?
That is my parents' house.
Okay. So that's where you would have stopped.
Yes.
All right. Now, this is a GPS map. Would you agree?
I agree.
All right. How would you describe the terrain in this area from the spot where Molly was sighted by you out into this area where your parents' house is? How would you describe the road? Is it flat? Is it hilly? How would you describe it?
There's just one hill. The hill that I saw her would be the steepest hill to my parents. And then there's a farm past my parents that has just a couple little hills.
Okay. So the hill that you're talking about is here where I've got the pointer, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And this farm that is east of your parents,
Yes.
is that lived in? Does somebody
No,
live there?
there's just some grain bins and a couple barns.
So nobody
Just
resides.
a farm.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Just a farm. No house.
We can't both talk at the same time with the court reporter. So let's go back to July 18th of 2018. Would anyone have been living in this area or this location that's on 385th?
No.
So it would have just been the grain bins and no residents.
Correct.
Okay. And I just want to ask you if you know, as you go further out on this road, have you been out to this location?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All right. There is an intersection that's here. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. Does the blacktop continue this
No.
direction?
No, it does not.
Describe the roadways that are here at this intersection.
So right where the roads meet, the blacktop ends, and there's a gravel road. It turns into gravel. If you keep going east, it's a gravel road if you go north and south.
There's a property here. Do you see that where my laser
Yes.
pointer is? Is this a farm property?
Yes.
And does a family or does anyone reside at that property?
Yes.
And back in July of 2018, there were no other residents other than what we see here on the south side of 385th.
Correct.
Is that true? Is that true?
Correct. Yes.
All right. Ms. Stewart, the next day, on July 19th of 2018, did you receive any information that Mollie Tibbetts was missing?
Yes.
What was the source of your information, if you know?
My sister had sent me a text message asking if I heard about Mollie.
Okay, do you remember when you got that text message?
Yes, my heart sank because I knew that I passed her.
Okay. When did you actually receive the text message from your sister, if you recall?
I would say it was about 24 hours exactly later than when I had saw Mollie last.
So the next evening?
Yes.
All right. And you said your heart sank.
Yes.
Because you'd seen her the night before.
Correct.
All right. What did you do as a result of receiving that text message and reacting in that way?
I jumped in my car and I said, I'm going to go out on blacktop and drive around to see if I can see anything. So
what did you then do? Did you go out and do that?
Yeah, I went and I picked her up. So I had her, and then my friend lives right across the street from my sister. So her daughter was with me as well, along with my 3 kids. And I'd say we drove around for a good hour until it got dark.
Okay. And where did you drive around?
Back and forth down blacktop. That map that you just had pulled up, we went north and south and east on those gravels.
Did you find anything?
Nothing.
See anything unusual?
No, but the Wednesday night it rained a lot and we didn't see anything.
Okay, but I'm asking about that. So after you got back from your parents on July 18th of 2018, after you'd seen Mollie that evening, did a storm move through?
Yes.
And did it dump a lot of rain?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And the next day, was it difficult to get around at all on the roads that you were on looking for Mollie?
No.
Okay. After you and your other friends had done this search, did you then report your information to law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay, and was it that same day on July 19th of 2018?
It was Friday,
Okay. So on July 20th?
20th.
And how was it that you communicated with law enforcement?
I had just heard that nobody had heard of her, so I directly called the sheriff's office and reported that I had seen her jogging on Wednesday night.
And then did somebody talk to you about that?
Yes.
And who was that? Do you recall?
Joel stopped into my salon, I would say probably 20 minutes after I got off the phone.
Joel Vanderlis?
Yes.
And who is Joel Vanderlis?
He is an officer with the Powashik County.
Okay. And did you report to him what you have, sorry, I have to let them switch. Okay. Did you report to Deputy Vanderlis what you testified to here today?
I did.
Do you know anything else about the disappearance of Mollie Tibbetts?
No, I don't.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. I don't have any further questions.
Defense may cross-examine.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, would you mind bringing Exhibit 5 up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hang on a second. Exhibit 5?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about that, but I've got a couple things before that. How did it feel to get that text message from your sister just a day after you saw Mollie Tibbetts running?
I was really worried about her.
Do you remember where you were?
When I received the message?
Yes.
Yes, I was at home, just sitting on my deck.
All right. It was probably a pretty surreal memory for you that'll...
I remember this day like it was just yesterday.
Now, your salon is just kind of right around the same area of this. Is that right?
No, that's not my salon
Okay.
on the map.
I'm sorry. Your salon is downtown. Is that right?
Correct.
And so explain to me again, it was 385th Street or Avenue that you were driving out. Is that correct?
Yes.
At some area here, I believe that there is a cemetery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Could you explain for the jury, using the street names, where the cemetery is?
So there's not east. Okay, so you see the East Des Moines Street. Basically, where there's a 90-degree angle would be like where the cemetery is. Right under Boundary Street, like that sighting, right?
So it would be...
It's almost like a dead-end road.
Right, so it'd be the intersection of Boundary Street and East Des Moines Street. Is that right?
No.
Okay, tell me that. So it would be at the end of Des Moines Street, is that correct?
Yes. Basically where East Des Moines Street ends. There's a cemetery.
All right, okay. So just right where the cursor is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. Ma'am, did you notice anything else unusual that you haven't mentioned?
No.
Did
didn't see anybody else out there.
I'm sure you're aware now that there's alleged to have been a black Malibu that's involved.
Correct.
Did you see that vehicle at ever?
No.
Thank you.
Not that night.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Brown, anything else of this witness?
And just 1 second. No further questions. Thank you.
Stewart, thank you for being here. You're excused.
You're welcome.
Well, why don't we do this? Let's take a 10-minute recess. Just want to remind you of your admonition. Leave your notebooks where they are. Let them give them just a minute, and then we'll take our 10-minute recess. Okay? Thank you. Members of the jury, we're going to need to continue with our break a little bit longer. So, again, just place your notebooks where they are. want to remind you of your admonition, and let's try to, again, at this point, try to be back and ready to go at 2:20. Thank you. Record after a recess in the afternoon. We are in the presence of the jury. Mr. Bahena and the attorneys of record are present. State may call its next witness.
State calls Arlie Lorenzana.
Can I get you to raise your right hand, please, so I can swear? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. Would you make your way over there and be seated, please?
Make sure you speak up, okay?
Mr. Claver, you can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your name, please?
Arely Nunez Lorenzana.
And could you spell that for me?
Arely, last name Nunez hyphen Lorenzna.
And how old are you?
27.
Are you employed?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Iowa Premium in Tama.
What is Iowa Premium?
Beef pack plant.
And how long have you worked there?
4 years in August.
And what do you do at the plant?
Labor maker, and I sometimes help in the clerk.
Do you live in Tama?
Toledo now.
Is that near Tama?
5 minutes away.
Do you know Cristhian Bahena Rivera?
Yes.
How do you know him?
We're related, cousins.
How long have you known him?
10 years.
Do you see Mr. Bahena Rivera in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you point him out for me and describe what he's wearing, please?
He's wearing a white shirt, blue pants.
Anything else you can tell me about him?
Like,
Is he wearing headphones?
yes.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
Record will so reflect.
Ms. Lorenzana, have you ever owned a black Chevy Malibu?
Yes.
And when did you acquire that vehicle?
2015.
Did you purchase it with cash?
No, I
Did-
got a loan.
And why did you buy that car?
For Mr. Christian.
Cristhian Bahena Rivera?
Yes.
And did you give it to him as a gift?
No.
How did it come about that you made that purchase for him?
He asked me if I could get him the car. He needed it for transportation.
He approached you about purchasing the car for him?
Yes.
And where did you purchase the car?
West Finch and Grinnell.
Did you register as the vehicle owner?
Yes.
Did you ever use that Chevy Malibu?
No.
Did you know that Chevy Malibu to be the exclusive vehicle of Mr. Cristhian Bahena Rivera?
Yes.
Were you aware of anyone else driving that car?
No.
Did you have an arrangement with Cristhian Bahena Rivera for payment on that vehicle?
He would, every month, he would give me the payment, but it was cash. There was no other.
And how were those payments made? Would he physically come to your house and hand you the payment?
Yes.
Did you have insurance on the vehicle?
Yes.
Did you communicate with Cristhian Bahena Rivera by phone, text message, anything like that?
Yeah, text message or Facebook.
Did you socialize with him at all?
Yeah.
And what types of things would you do when you were with him?
Mostly it was family gatherings.
Did you know where Cristhian Bahena Rivera lived?
Yes.
Where did he live?
In Brooklyn, Iowa, on a trailer.
Did you know where he worked?
The farms.
Can you say that again, please?
The farms.
What farms were those? Do you know?
It was in Brooklyn. I don't remember the name. A dairy
Dairy
farm.
Farms?
Yeah.
Had you ever been to the defendant's house in Brooklyn?
Yes.
When was the last time you were there?
Oh. When he first moved over there, I don't know the date.
Do you remember when he first moved to that Brooklyn address?
No.
Did law enforcement at some point in time ask for your permission to search that black Chevy Malibu?
Yes.
And do you recall when that request was made?
In August of 2018.
And did you grant permission to search that car?
Yes.
Ms. Lorenzana, I'm going to show you some photographs here. Exhibit 38.
It's 38 and 39. Is that okay?
Yeah. There's actually two images on the screen, Exhibits 38 and Exhibit 39. Do you see those?
Yes.
And what's depicted in those images?
The car?
When you say the car, can you be more specific for me?
The back and the front of the car?
Is that the black Chevy Malibu?
Yes.
Is that the car that you bought for the defendant?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
The plates, I recognize them.
And how do you recognize the plates?
The number of the plates?
Is that the number that you registered for that vehicle?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a couple more photographs. Yeah. Exhibits 40 and 41. Do you see those?
Yes.
And are those images of your black Chevy Malibu?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you Exhibit 42. Do you see that?
Yes.
And what's depicted in that image?
Mirror, chrome mirror.
And is that your black Chevy Malibu?
I don't remember having being there.
Okay. Is that something that the defendant would have added after you purchased the vehicle for him?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Ms. Lorenzana, when you purchased the vehicle, is the chrome mirror something that was on the vehicle?
I don't recall.
What else do you want?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Defense may cross-examine.
Ma'am, I got the privilege to meet you just outside of the hallway. Is that right?
Yes.
We shook hands.
Yes.
Other than that, you and I have never met. Is that
No.
right?
No.
You've never met Mr. Freese. Is that right?
No.
Were you subpoenaed for this today?
Yes.
So a sheriff came and served you with a subpoena. Is that right?
Before when it got postponed, yeah. But right now, no.
Okay, somebody else served you with a subpoena. And that said that you had to be at court today. Is that
Yes.
right? Now, Christian, you're familiar with his family. Is that right?
Yes.
How are you two related?
My mom's side.
So your mother is his
Aunt.
All right. And his parents are still down in Mexico. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're aware of that through family knowledge. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you spend time with Christian and his daughter?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. This is outside the scope of her examination.
Sustained.
You did go to family gatherings with the family. Is that right?
Yes.
How often would you spend time with Christian?
Before he moved to Brooklyn, we were close. We would spend afternoons together talking or whatnot. But after he moved to Brooklyn, no.
Now, Christian, he has a fair amount of family in the Tama, Toledo area. Is that right?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Still outside the scope of direct examination.
Overruled. Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and say the question again. So, Christian, he has a fair amount of family in the Tama, Toledo area. Is that right?
Yes.
In fact, he lived there for a period of time. Is that right?
Yes.
How long, and I'm not going to hold you to it, but how long do you recall him living in the Tama, Toledo area?
Oh, I don't remember the times, to be honest.
Would it be more than a year?
Yes.
More than 2 years?
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not. When he was living in that area, was he working at the Yerby Farms?
No.
Right. Do you recall where he was working?
In Blairstown at a dairy farm.
Now, I'm assuming that you don't make a business of buying vehicles for other people. Is that right?
No.
Have you ever done this sort of thing for someone before?
No.
Why is it that you did it for Christian?
Because he's my cousin and he needed a way of transportation.
Why wouldn't he be able to buy the vehicle himself?
Because he wasn't able to.
It would have to do with him not having papers. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, Christian, have you had any problems with him paying you for this vehicle?
No.
What was the car payment for it?
300 or more.
Well, let's call it $300 or a little bit more per month. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you would make that payment yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
And then Christian would make the payment to you.
Yes.
Did he make sure that those payments were timely?
It was always first of the month. He would always take the money.
So you never had a problem with him with squabbling about money?
Never.
Was he grateful to you for helping him so that he would have transportation?
Yes.
Did he thank you several times?
Yes.
And did he make sure that through being timely and taking the money to you that you were shown how grateful he was?
Yes.
Have you ever known Christian to be a violent man?
Objection, Your Honor. It's improper character evidence.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any bad interactions with Christian Bahena Rivera?
Objection, Your Honor. Same reason.
Sustained.
No further questions.
State have any redirect?
Ms. Lorenzana, how many payments did the defendant make on his vehicle?
We purchased it for 13, and when I finished paying 5,000 afterwards, but I don't remember the amount exactly.
So the loan was for $13,000?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, it was a period of 6 years, I believe, and I paid it in 2020.
When was the last time you saw the defendant before August of 2018?
In July, there was a family gathering.
July 2018?
Yes,
And where was that family gathering?
the Tama Ballroom in Tama.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any recross?
Yes. This family gathering was, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
It was a birthday party.
Who was the birthday party for?
It was his aunt's husband.
And his aunt is who?
Romana Benita.
How many family members were there?
All of them.
Do you remember when the tornado came to Marshalltown?
Yes,
Do you remember if it was before or after that?
it was before.
Now, at this family gathering, did everyone seem happy?
Yes,
Did Christian seem happy?
yes,
Were there any issues with him fighting or arguing?
no,
Did he ever mention to you that he had a date coming up?
yes.
And the date would be with who?
I don't know the name.
Just that he had a date with a woman.
Yes.
No further questions.
Anything else for this witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ma'am, thank you for being here. You're excused. You may step down. Members of the jury, that concludes our work for today. We're going to be in recess until tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask you to be back at the same time tomorrow as you were here today. We'll start at 8:30. Before I send you on your way, I want to remind you of your admonition. Make sure you're not discussing the case with anyone. Make sure you're not doing any type of independent research. Make sure you're not in any way, shape, or form having any media exposure to the case. Leave your notebooks on your seats. Those will be collected and held overnight by the court attendant. Again, want to reemphasize that no one, including myself, will see your notes at any time during the trial or after. And then we'll make sure and get those back to you in the morning. They'll be distributed before we start the case. So have a good evening back here at 8:30 tomorrow morning. You're excused.